All right, so moving on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my Week 18 game prediction between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this is a damn good way to end the regular season for the 2024-25 regular season, NFL season, I should say, because we're getting the two best teams in the NFC playing a winner-takes-all for Week 18. The winner between these two 14-2 teams will get the first seed in the NFC, and the winner of this game will win the NFC North. The loser, unfortunately, as a 14-3 team, this sounds crazy to say, the loser will have to play as the fifth seed and play in the wild card game for wild card weekend. Either most likely playing the Rams or the Bucks, depending on how things go for Week 18. That is actually really bizarre to say. A 14-3 team can be a fifth seed. Wild times in the NFL. But there's going to be one hell of a game between the Lions and the Vikings. Now, when these two respective teams played against each other earlier on in the season, it was the Lions that got the better of the Vikings. The Vikings were undefeated at the time, I believe 5-0, 6-0. I think it was 5-0. But the Lions were the team to end the Vikings' undefeated streak. And it came down to a game-winning field goal. So I expect the same type of game, back-and-forth battle between two outstanding teams. Coaching staffs very phenomenal on both sides. Should be one hell of a game. So these are the blueprints that I have for these teams to follow. They want to walk out of Week 18 with the number one seed and the winners of the NFC North this year. Starting with the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings got to play lights out on the defensive side of the ball. Now, Brian Flores has caught the eye of a lot of teams that are in need of a new head coach for next year's NFL season. Brian Flores has done a tremendous job doing the dirty work and turning around the culture for the Minnesota Vikings on the defensive side of the ball. He's done a really good job with the Vikings in terms of blitz packages, in terms of being good in zone coverage. This Minnesota Vikings team is everything that you want. And they only give up 7.6 points in the first half on the defensive side of the ball. So they're not allowing their opponents to score at will, especially in the first half of ball games. And the reason why they find themselves at 14-2 this year. So play through the defense, get help. That Brian Flores has to win the battle. And it's a hard battle to win with him matching up against Ben Johnson on defensive coordinator versus offensive coordinator matchup. But the blitz packages and the zone coverage, they got to do that if they want a chance to slow down this Detroit Lions offense and to win the ball game. Now next, they got to play through Sam Darnold. Now Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell have a perfect quarterback and head coach chemistry in the National Football League. I mean, the turnaround of what Sam Darnold, we used to call him a bust. Third overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, and has turned his career around for the better. And has had his best year with the Minnesota Vikings in his NFL career. 35 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions, third in the league in passing yards. This is the biggest game of his career. Because like I just said, he spent time with the Jets. They didn't have any playoff success when he was there. Carolina Panthers didn't either when he was a starter. He was the backup last year behind Brock Purdy and the 49ers. He wasn't the starter. He was a part of a team that was winning culture, but it's different when you're on the sidelines and you're actually the one leading the charge at the helm at the quarterback position. So he does not have playoff experience. It's the biggest game of his career because he's going to have a playoff atmosphere with a lot of implications on the line. Seeding and winning the NFC North division. So I expect Sam Darnold to air it out, play the best game of his career, and a game that his team needs him the most. He's got to get the pass catchers like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison going, especially against a Detroit Lions secondary that has been struggling as of late in the passing department. Just gave up over 300 passing yards to Brock Purdy last night in Monday Night Football. So definitely, I think those blueprints are going to be the reasons why, if they do, those will be the reasons why the Vikings defeat the Lions on Sunday night. Now, with the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson and the Detroit Lions got to start off fast. They got to put their foot on the gas pedal and don't look back. Ben Johnson is one of the best offensive play callers in the National Football League. The reason why he's getting a lot of looks and a lot of interviews that's going to be lined up for him at the head coaching position once this NFL season is over, or during the time that he has to do these interviews. So The Lions got to start off fast against a really high-powered Vikings defense, and I do believe they have a chance to do it because the Lions have the highest scoring first half. They are the highest scoring first half team in the NFL this season, averaging 18 points per game in the first half of ball games. So they're very capable of doing this. I think they have a chance to start off fast, start off hot, and put up points on the board quickly against the Minnesota Vikings in this ball game. Now, I'm expecting Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, to step up in a big way. We all know the injuries that have hurt this Detroit Lions on the defensive side of the ball. Carlton Davis, Aiden Hutchinson, several others that are on IR for the Detroit Lions right now on the defensive side of the ball. However, as a defensive coordinator, I expect your scheme to be better. Next man up in the National Football League. In order for the Lions to win this game, they've been skating by on the defensive side of the ball, playing poorly in the secondary, because they've given up 300 passing yards, over 300 passing yards in the last 3 games against the Bills, the Bears, and the 49ers. Now, I get it, Josh Allen's having an MVP year, but you got to clean up these mistakes against the Bears and the 49ers, teams that are not going to the playoffs, teams that you need to contain. You could have contained better. Caleb Williams, 300 passing yards. Brock Purdy, 300 passing yards. What do you think Sam Darnold's going to do? They got to find a way to stop the air attack. Aaron Glenn's got to get these guys locked in and ready for battle. I mean, they are in total points as well. They just gave up 34 points against a 49ers team that has hardly put up over 30 points all season long. So that the defense concerns me. But they got to get defensive stops. If you're not going to get turnovers, get them off the field and put the hands in the lines to control the pace and to control the game and control the clock offensively. So Aaron Glenn has to have the Lions step up big, get the defensive stops that they need, and possibly create turnovers. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions to beat the Vikings to win the NFC North division and to clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC. Like I said, the loser of this game, it's really unfair because it's crazy to think that a 14-3 team is going to have to play in wild card weekend on the road and get the 5th seed at best in the NFC. It's crazy, but a loser has to be crowned and a winner has to be crowned. So I think the Lions are going to win this game. I just believe it's going to, just like the first game, it's going to come down to the wire, come down to the final possession of which quarterback has the ball in their hands last, of Jared Goff and Sam Darnold, which I think the Lions will find a way. I know it's hard and bizarre to say based off of how their defense has been playing, allowing several passing yards, over 300 passing yards in the last 3 to 4 games. But I think they'll do just enough and get that one stop that they need against Sam Darnold on a high-powered Minnesota Vikings offense. I think Jared Goff's going to have a game-winning drive and possibly could come down to a game-winning field goal again. The atmosphere playing in Detroit, they're going to have the fans behind them. And I think Ben Johnson's going to win the offensive versus defensive coordinator battle between himself and Brian Flores. That just gives me the confidence for Jared Goff to get going, passing the ball, getting pass catchers like St. Brown, Jamison Williamson, Sam Laporta, and others going. Gibbs, I think he's going to have a good game in the passing game, being a pass catcher and running the football. I just have the confidence for the Lions to pull this out, win the NFC North, and get the number 1 seed in the NFC for a well-deserved year for both teams. But it's unfortunate that somebody's got to play in the wild card after going 14-3. I just can't get over that. But give me the Lions to win this game, and that is my Sunday night prediction between the Lions and the Vikings.